Chapter 1467. At first, it was easy mode, then it turned into difficult mode. If the opponent was Lord Azura though, it was simply hell mode. After Lord Azura's diagnosis came out, Yuanwan didn't dare to look at Ji Xiuran's expression. After listening to the elderly doctor, her first reaction was to hide it. Who would have expected Lord Azura to tell the doctor to feel his pulse without any warning? Now what they did in the room earlier was self-evident. Yuanwan cautiously glanced at Ji Xiuran, who had a dark and obscure expression on his face. Ahem, if she said she accidentally bumped into him, would anyone believe her? Oh my god! The Love Goo's child goo was actually planted inside Lord Azura. A strange silence descended upon the room again. Elder Qi, are you sure? 7-star asked. The white-haired elderly man sounded certain. I verified it 3 times. There's no mistake about it. Yuanwan. Alright, the doctor directly stamped a seal of confirmation that the two of them acted intimately somehow. Everyone. Autumn Water was the first to react. She hastily walked toward Lord Azura, and was trembling as she fearfully pleaded for mercy. Your Highness equals Lord Azura. Our president only lost control of her behavior, because she was poisoned by goo. She didn't intend to offend you, so please don't blame her. Yuanwan blinked. Huh? Lose control? I didn't lose control. She controlled herself rather well the whole time. If she really lost control, it wouldn't be as simple as a mere kiss. She would have tried to cure the poison directly. Autumn Water angrily glared at her in warning. Did she want to die? Yuanwan rubbed her nose and stopped talking. Bang. The room door was suddenly pushed open. Jiang Yan and the guard by Lord Azura's side earlier entered together. Jiang Yan seemed to have heard what happened in there, and his rage skyrocketed as he shouted, "You shameless vixen! You're simply unscrupulous and impudent. I knew you had something up your sleeves. How dare you use this type of shameless underhanded trick to plot against our lord?" When Yuanwan saw Jiang Yan's righteously indignant and humiliated expression, she thought of something and murmured, "PFT, your tone really sounds like an old friend of mine." He was identical to the ruffled Luing back then. As Yuanwan said that, she peered at Lord Azura with a sardonic smile, but couldn't detect anything unusual in his expression. Jiang Yan snorted. "By Feng, you're the leader of a gang at least. Don't you find it a disgrace to use such despicable methods?" Yuanwan raised her hand. "Hey, hold on. Brother, may I ask whether you personally witnessed what happened in here earlier? How did you know it was me who violated your Lord Azura? What if it's him who did something to me? No matter what, the one who took a loss was me, the girl, right?" Si Yihan. Jiang Yan's eyes nearly popped out from how wide they were, and he wanted to vomit blood. You're talking nonsense. Why would my lord do that?" Yuanwan pursed her lips. Perhaps he did something even more unimaginable. If you knew, you would become disillusioned about your lord and turn from a fan into a hater. Cough, 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 cough. Big Dipper had a choking fit while 7-star looked somewhat embarrassed. Although they should stand on the president's side, they themselves didn't believe Sisfeng's words. Chapter 1468. 1468. The fake guard, Lin Ke, walked over to smooth over the situation. "Hey, calm down. It's not the time for an argument. We need to think of a solution. Otherwise, both President Bai and Lord Azura's lives are at stake." Jiang Yan glared at Yuanwan viciously before half-kneeling in front of Si Yihan and said, "Don't worry, my lord. This subordinate will definitely find a remedy for the goo within 3 months." Yuanwan said with a grin, "Thanks for your trouble then, since this president has someone she likes already." "Already have someone you like? Who? Big Dipper inquired curiously. When Autumn Water heard that, she heaved with relief. Thank goodness Xiaofeng said that, or else how could she explain herself to Emperor Ji? This was seriously a thorny matter though. Xiaofeng liked Emperor Ji, and there was no way Lord Azura would fall in love with Xiaofeng, so how should they cure this love goo? Yuanwan first glanced at Lord Azura imperceptibly before responding to Big Dipper. "The one I like is naturally a super great beauty. Moreover, he's willing to do everything I wish and treats me gently in every way possible. He would never lie to me or betray me." Big Dipper was shocked. Earlier, she said she had to sleep with Lord Azura, but now she said she had someone she liked already. Just how brilliant was the person she liked? A thought suddenly struck Big Dipper, and his head turned to Emperor Ji with a swish. Shit. Big Dipper murmured, dumbstruck. Sisfong, the one you like, can't possibly be Emperor Ji, right? Emperor Ji had been rather close with their fearless alliance lately. Big Dipper blurted it out without thinking and spoke rather loudly, so everyone heard him. He didn't know whether it was his imagination, but Lord Azura's glance at him just now was terrifyingly cold. As for Ji Xiran, he wore a faint smile the whole time, and no one could discern any change in expression. 7-Star glanced at Big Dipper with a frown, reminding him to think before he spoke before turning to Emperor Ji and apologizing. Emperor Ji, please don't fault Big Dipper for having a slip of the tongue. Ji Xiran smiled and nonchalantly said, Why would I? It'd be my honor to be liked by President Bai. 7-Star, Big Dipper. Yuan. Why do I suddenly feel a bit chilly? Aside from Autumn Water, who remained unsurprised, both 7-Star and Big Dipper jolted in fright when they heard that. However, they knew Emperor Ji's personality and character, so he was probably speaking courteously and giving them face. Emperor Ji wasn't someone to be trifled with though. The ever-smiling Ji Xiran wasn't any less dangerous than Lord Azura. Anyhow, regardless of who Sisfong provoked out of these two, she would be seeking death either way. Elder Qi, do you have any remedy for the goo? Emperor Ji asked the white-haired elderly man. In truth, I've been researching remedies for love goo all these years. I did have some results, but I've never succeeded. Hence, currently speaking, if we want to relieve the goo in a short amount of time, I'm afraid it'd be very difficult. The fastest and safest way is still. Elder Qi sent Lord Azura a meaningful look. Everyone turned to Lord Azura. Chapter 1469. In truth, Big Dipper and 7-Star both thought it'd be easy on Sisfang's side, considering her unprincipled personality and existing covetous feelings for Lord Azura. However, if they wanted Lord Azura to fall in love with Sisfong and mate with her, it'd be the same as dreaming. It would already be an accomplishment if Lord Azura didn't destroy their fearless alliance in a fit of rage. Big Dipper, 7-Star, and Autumn Water all turned ashen, especially when they noticed Lord Azura's extremely dark expression. She could have cast the goo onto anyone. Why did it have to be Lord Azura? Ever since Si Yihan heard Yuanwan say she already had someone she liked, he felt like his heart had fallen into a bottomless icy pit, and was drowning in bone-chilling water, numb from the cold. Let's not forget Emperor Ji's tacit agreement after that. The dangerous, threatening pressure around the man dropped down in an earth-shattering manner, stirring fear in people's hearts and causing even Jiang Yan to shiver. We're doomed. We're doomed. We're truly done for this time. Autumn Water secretly sighed with regret. If only she brought Emperor Ji earlier, then everything would have been resolved, and they would have relieved the poison at any moment. She was only a step late, but the matter devolved into this disaster. Autumn Water had no choice but to hastily explain. Your Highness the Lord Azura, my president was also a victim. It's all because of Patriarch Yuan's underhanded tactics. My president absolutely didn't intentionally poison you with the goo. Please think about this matter justly. However, Autumn Water's words didn't ease the man's expression at all. It worsened instead. Lin Ke felt his head pounding with a headache. Sister, could your words be any more stinging and callous? It'd be fine if that girl purposely poisoned him with goo. The sentence, I already have someone I like, kept repeating in Si Yihan's mind like a magic incantation, and he felt a thirst for blood, more intense than he'd ever felt before, storming rampantly inside of him, nearly ripping him apart. He didn't know how he repressed his desire to pull her into his arms, embrace her, kiss her, and meld her into his bones and blood. The terrifyingly dangerous, tornado-like aura around the man abruptly dissipated, and he finally managed to forcefully repress his nearly uncontrollable emotions and walk away. His rigid figure was cold like a man traversing through a wintry Arctic field all by himself. My lord, Jiang Yan reflexively called out after being startled briefly. Fearless alliance, my Azura absolutely won't take everything that happened today lying down. Wish yourself good luck. Jiang Yan had never seen his lord this enraged before, so he hastily followed his lord after Lord Azura, threw these ruthless words at them. Lin Ke hesitantly glanced at Yi Wanwan. He originally wanted to say something, but there were too many people there, so it wasn't suitable for further conversation. He was forced to swiftly chase after the rest of his group. How miserable. Ninth brother must be ready to erupt with rage. That girl couldn't really have fallen in love with someone else, right? Lord Azura. Lord Azura. By the time Autumn Water chased after them to the door, they were gone. A moment later, Autumn Water returned with a deathly pale complexion. We're probably screwed this time. It absolutely wasn't a minor matter that President Fearless successfully conspired against Lord Azura. 7 Star also looked abnormally serious. This not only concerned Sisfeng's life. Disaster was probably also imminent for the entire Fearless Alliance. Big Dipper feebly said, "No way, right? If Sisfeng really dies, Lord Azura also won't survive." Autumn Water rolled her eyes at him. "We can only hope that Azura won't find a remedy for the love goo." Big Dipper, what's wrong with you? I just left for a brief period. How did you watch over Xiaofeng? How could you allow this to happen? Chapter 1470. Big Dipper was bewildered by Autumn Water's inquiries. "I'm innocent. I offered to sacrifice myself. But Sisfeng didn't want me, alright." Autumn Water's expression darkened. "Shut up." On the other side, Emperor Ji finished speaking to Elder Qi about some matter related to curing goo. "Everyone, don't worry too much. Elder Qi will try his best to cure the love goo." 7 Star cupped his fists and said, "Thank you." Since 7 Star and Big Dipper were also there, Emperor Ji didn't say anything more and nodded at Yi Wanwan before leaving with the white-haired elderly man. As soon as Emperor Ji left, Big Dipper immediately approached Autumn Water and asked, "Autumn Water, how did you invite Emperor Ji here? Why is he helping us?" After all, their Fearless Alliance had a grudge with Emperor Ji's faction, so why was Emperor Ji helping them? Autumn Water coughed lightly. Emperor Ji owes Xiaofeng a favor from many years ago, so he's just returning the favor this time. Huh? Really? Why didn't I know? Big Dipper didn't pursue the matter and became miserable. Sisfeng, what should we do? Are we really gonna die for sure this time? Yi Wanwan's eyes turned to where Lord Azura left. A moment later, she peered down at her arm. She could still feel the remnants of the man's warmth from when he supported her. Her eyes were obscurely dark as she nonchalantly said, "Die for sure? Not necessarily." At the same time, at the Fearless Alliance, inside the main hall, Third Elderly C's expression was so dark that ink could drip from it. The elders next to him all looked furious. News had come from the Yuan territory just now. They originally thought that woman was walking to her own death by going to the Yuan residence. To their surprise, not only did she successfully kill the patriarch of the Yuan family, but she also consumed the entire Yuan family. That woman actually managed to dismantle the Yuan family, an elder coldly said with a dark expression. "I heard she hired mercenaries," Third Elderly C interjected. "Mercenaries?" The other elderly men were taken back and looked surprised. One of them asked with a frown, "Mercenaries from where?" "I heard they're connected to the Nye family." "Humph, you should all know the strength of the Nye family's eldest young master. Isn't it a piece of cake for the people under him to annihilate people like the Yuan family?" Third Elderly C said. "Soon the people from Wenziren's camp will return. We have to use this time well. If we don't find proof showing that woman is pretending to be the president, we're in deep trouble." An elder gritted his teeth. However, Third Elderly C merely smiled and languidly said, "Don't worry. That woman will die when she returns." The other two elders were startled, not understanding him. "Third Elder, what do you mean? If you haven't found evidence that proves that woman is the fake president, you mustn't act. Don't forget the rules we established with the other camps," said a white-haired elderly man with a frown. "Since I said that, I've naturally found proof." Third Elderly C smiled. The white-haired elderly man was surprised. "Are you serious, Third Elder?" "Of course." Third Elderly C called outside the door, "Bring him inside." Chapter 1471. 1471. Soon, Several members of the Fearless Alliance dragged a man covered with cuts and bruises all over inside the room. If Yi Wanwan was there, she would have definitely immediately recognized this man as Zhou Wu from the Zhou family. Zhou Wu was deathly pale and covered in ghastly wounds. Qiu, where? Zhou Wu looked up and furiously glared at third elder Li Si. Qiu is still a child, what do you want? Li Si stood up and strode toward Zhou Wu. He chuckled lightly and said, Zhou Wu, your child is fine. Don't worry, as long as you honestly answer a few of my questions, this matter will pass. Zhou Wu looked up and glared at Li Si with clenched teeth. He refused to say anything even when he was interrogated by torture in the Fearless Alliance's dungeon, so these monsters actually used Qiu to threaten him. Zhou Wu, your Zhou family doesn't have it easy. There's no need to cause your Zhou family to be destroyed because of some irrelevant person. Also, although your son is a mute, I think he's rather cute, Li family said with a snort. What do you want to ask? Zhou Wu trembled at the mention of Qiu. Based on what I know, President Fearless, by phone, first showed up with the Zhou family. Also, I heard the president was pursued by the martial arts union after coming to the independent state, because she didn't have a permit. It was you who helped President Fearless evade the martial arts union's investigation team and brought her back to the Zhou residence. Am I right? Li Si asked as his lips curled up. No. I have no idea what you're talking about. Zhou Wu tightly clenched his fists. Well, it's fine if you don't know. I'll make you remember. After Li Si said that, a muscled man entered the room. The muscled man carried a terrified Qiu toward the window, grabbed him by the neck and raised him outside the window. Bastard! You monsters! Zhou Wu shouted furiously and struggled to stand up. Bang! At that moment, Li Si punched Zhou Wu's abdomen. Zhou Wu's face twisted as he weakly knelt on the ground and curled into a ball. Zhou Wu, don't do things the hard way. I'll give you one last chance. If you tell the truth, I'll let you leave with mute and can guarantee the Zhou family's safety. If you continue to refuse my generosity, you can prepare to collect your mute son's corpse and the corpses of hundreds of members of the Zhou family. Third elder threatened with a chilly chuckle. He then coldly shouted, Who is our current President Fearless? What's her name, and where did she come from? Zhou Wu's red eyes turned to Qiu. He shook his head and was forced to compromise. She is Yi Wanwan. When Zhou Wu spoke, third elder Li Si and the other two elderly men's eyes brightened. Good, very well. Let me ask you, where did she come from? Li Si asked. China, Zhou Wu answered between gritted teeth. Are you telling the truth? Li Si smiled faintly. It's the truth, Zhou Wu sighed. Upon hearing everything he needed to know, Li Si waved his hand and had the muscled man pull Qiu back before locking both Zhou Wu and Qiu into the dungeon. A moment later, Li Si dialed a number from China and had a group there help him investigate the matter. Chapter 1472. 2 days later. After the group in China investigated every detail about Yi Wanwan, they brought a woman to the independent state. The woman appeared rather nervous inside the conference room and kept examining her surroundings. I heard you're Yi Wanwan's teacher? Li Si asked the middle-aged woman. Yes. I have a student named Yi Wanwan. Who in the world are you? And where are we? The woman looked frantic. Don't worry. Answer a few questions for me first. What's your name? Li Si asked. The woman swallowed. She seemed to have realized these people weren't good in any way and didn't dare to conceal anything. She apprehensively answered. My name is Liang Lihua. Liang Lihua was Yi Wanwan's class teacher in senior high school. 2 days ago, she was tailed for some reason and was knocked unconscious. Then she woke up here. Miss Liang, don't worry, Li Si said seemingly amiably. We don't want to make things difficult for you, but we need your help with something. Help? That's right. The girl you call Yi Wanwan is currently in our organization and acting as our organization's leader, but we suspect she's a fake. We merely hope you can honestly tell us this Yi Wanwan's real identity. Li Si planned to use a soft approach first. If this woman didn't cooperate, he naturally had hundreds of methods to deal with her. Upon hearing the whole story, Liang Lihua was astonished. Wasn't Yi Wanwan too gutsy? She actually dared to pretend to be the leader of a gang? Wasn't she asking for death? This faction was obviously not a group to be trifled with. So how could a girl like Yi Wanwan who'd just started university be some leader of this kind of faction? This damn girl. It'd be fine if she wanted to die herself, but she also dragged me down too. Not long after Yi Wanwan graduated, her affair with one of the school leaders was exposed. They were so secretive about it, so how could anyone know about it? She suspected it was probably this damn girl who told on them. Miss Liang, as long as you testify against her, I can guarantee your safety and escort you back to China after the conclusion of this matter. Additionally, I can allow you to live the rest of your life without worry for clothes and food. Li Si benevolently proposed with a smile. A sharp glint flashed through Liang Lihua's eyes. This fearless alliance didn't have any animosities with her, so they probably wouldn't do anything to her as long as she did as they said. She might even benefit from them. After a moment of thought, Liang Lihua nodded without any hesitation and said, Yi Wanwan wasn't anything good back in school anyway. She always dressed outlandishly, and was an incompetent student. She even seduced men everywhere she went at a young age. Now, she actually dared to pretend to be the leader of some gang. She's truly a disgrace to our school. Don't worry, as a teacher, I'll definitely help you testify against her and expose her true, disgusting side. Great, Miss Liang. We're comforted by your words. Li Si nodded with satisfaction. Then he turned to his underlings and said, Inform all the elders and managers that I've found evidence proving that woman is a fake president. Yes. A young man nodded and turned to leave. About half an hour later, all the higher-ups rushed to the conference room after hearing Li Si's news. Chapter 1473. Liang Lihua was as quiet as a cicada in winter when she saw these powerful figures. She didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. When had Liang Lihua ever seen such an imposing scene? Even movies weren't so intimidating, let alone reality. Elderly man, you said you found proof. What kind of proof? A silver-haired elderly man holding a crutch asked aloofly. Although they knew that woman was a fake, no one wanted any other camp to find the evidence. Since third elder Li Si found the evidence, Li Si would ascend the throne as the president of the Fearless Alliance according to the rules they agreed upon earlier. And no one could have any objections. And no need to be so anxious, everyone. Third elder Li Si chuckled lightly. This is our president Fearless class teacher from when she went to senior high in China. How about you all direct your questions to her instead? When Li Si finished speaking, everyone present turned to Liang Lihua. Speak. What's going on? The silver-haired elderly man shouted harshly while staring at Liang Lihua. The imposing aura of a superior caused Liang Lihua to tremble fiercely. A mere look from the silver-haired elderly man caused sweat to drench Liang Lihua's entire body. However, she absolutely couldn't panic in this kind of situation, or else she might even lose her life. These people didn't look like law-abiding people in the slightest. Everyone, let me tell you, your current president is a fake. She's not real at all. Liang Lihua gathered her composure and tried her best to calm down before answering the elder. Liang Lihua promptly continued, Your current president's real name is Yi Wanwan. She's Chinese. A lot of higher-ups' expressions shifted upon hearing that. Not everyone in the Fearless Alliance suspected Yi Wanwan. Some of the higher-ups adamantly supported Yi Wanwan and believed Yi Wanwan was the real president of the Fearless Alliance, by phone like Autumn Water and Big Dipper. However, after hearing Liang Lihua's words today, can you prove what you're saying? An elderly man in a cyan shirt questioned with a dark expression. Of course I can prove it. Liang Lihua nodded frantically. I'm the class teacher of senior grade 3 at China's Qinghe High School, and Yi Wanwan was one of my students back then. Let me tell you, Yi Wanwan is absolutely someone who would pretend to be your president. Yi Wanwan's father is a gambling addict and owes a truckload of money to loan sharks while her elder brother is a complete hoodlum. Not too long ago, he was imprisoned for murder charges. Also, Yi Wanwan is nothing good either. She's a slut and thief, a delinquent from head to toe. Perhaps she's even a street prostitute. Several higher-ups furrowed their brows. They wanted proof, not this woman's rubbish. I'm asking you, do you have proof? The elderly man asked coldly. Yes. I have proof. Liang Lihua pulled out her phone immediately and opened an album before placing it on the conference table. Look, this is Yi Wanwan's graduation photo from senior high. It hasn't been photoshopped at all, so you can examine it however you want. Moreover, you can verify everything I said just now. I haven't spoken a single false word. Words rushed out of Liang Lihua's mouth as she pointed out Yi Wanwan in the photo. Everyone looked at the phone. This photo caused the expressions of the higher-ups supporting Yi Wanwan to darken completely. Chapter 1474. The person in the photo was their current president, Fearless without a doubt. Check this photo's authenticity. A middle-aged man had his subordinate copy the photo. A moment later, the subordinate returned and said with a frown, "There isn't any problem with the photo. It's real." A commotion erupted in the room. The elders of the different major camps all looked displeased. They didn't expect Li Si to really be the one who found evidence in the end. As for the higher-ups who supported Yi Wanwan, their faces were so dark that ink could drip. That woman really was a fake. I was telling the truth. That Yi Wanwan is simply the disgrace of Qinghe High School. Liang Lihua looked disgusted. That woman actually dared to pretend to be the president. The silver-haired elderly man with a crutch was gnashing his teeth. Where is she? Is she back yet? She hasn't returned yet. A member of the Fearless Alliance answered. When she returns, don't beat the grass and scare the snake. Lock down the entire Fearless Alliance. The silver-haired elderly man snorted and slammed the door after him as he left. Around that evening, 7-Star drove them back to the Fearless Alliance from the Yuan residence. The group of 3 entered the Fearless Alliance's headquarters. After entering the building, Yi Wanwan looked a bit confused. There was something off about some of the members' expressions. However, Yi Wanwan didn't think too much of it. Soon Yi Wanwan entered the office. Sis Feng, what are you planning to do about the love goo? Why aren't you doing anything? This is related to your life. Big Dipper was turning in circles from worry. These past 2 days, Sis Feng acted like nothing was wrong and didn't look worried at all. Seriously, the Emperor's not worried, but the eunuch's worried to death. 7-Star stood by the side, his face also brimming with worry. I've already secretly sent people to look into a remedy for love goo, but the information I got says it's incurable. Yi Wanwan pinched her brows. Enough, I have my own plans about remedying the goo. Leave for now. I want to rest a bit. These 2 days had nearly exhausted all her energy. Aside from handling the aftermath of the Yuan family and reorganizing them, she also secretly contacted Lu Ying and ordered him to investigate traces of Si Yihan in both the ancient Si clan and China's Si family. Since that person insisted he wasn't Si Yihan, then she would expose his lie one by one. However, she would probably have to use the martial arts conference in the near future to come into contact with the ancient Si clan. 7-Star nodded and dragged the prattling Big Dipper out of the office. After they left, Yi Wanwan sat in the chair behind the desk and closed her eyes to rest. After the long journey, she felt rather thirsty, so she absent-mindedly picked up a drink from the desk and drank it while thinking about recent events. Cough! Yi Wanwan nearly spat out the rest of what she drank after taking a gulp. This isn't a freaking beverage. This is clearly hard liquor with a high alcohol content. Yi Wanwan hastily picked up the bottle and carefully examined it. Isn't this the liquor that Ishuehan gave me? She thought it was a homemade beverage from Ishuehan like last time. Who knew it would really be alcohol? Damn you. Piece of shit. Yi Wanwan had swallowed it already, so she couldn't spit it back out in time. She wondered what kind of alcohol this was. It had a very fast and strong kick. She instantly felt her world spiral. Chapter 1475. With Yi Wanwan's tolerance, it would be fine if she drank a little bit of weak alcohol. But she'd definitely get drunk without a doubt if she drank half a bottle in one breath, let alone hard liquor like this with a high alcohol content. Yi Wanwan staggered a little and sat on the office chair, staring at the spiraling ceiling. She remained cautious ever since she came to the independent state, afraid she would take one wrong step, so she didn't dare to drink too much alcohol and allow herself to be in a muddled state of mind. Otherwise, if she said or did anything wrong while drunk, It could cost her her life. Thankfully, Bro Flat Top herself didn't drink alcohol often, and there weren't many occasions that required her to drink alcohol. Who would have expected her to fall into piece of shit's pit this time? Outside the office, Big Dipper and 7-Star were casually conversing when they saw hundreds of senior-tier and middle-tier members surrounding them. 7-Star looked at the crowd rushing toward them with furrowed brows, clueless about what had happened. What is it? Big Dipper was bewildered by the aggressive people and walked forward immediately. Hey, what are you doing? Why did so many of you run here? Don't disturb Sis Fong from her rest. Rest? A middle-aged man first examined Big Dipper before snorting and saying, her rest isn't urgent. In a few days, your Sis Fong can rest forever. Big Dipper was startled and looked baffled. He didn't understand this middle-aged man's words at all. What did he mean rest forever after today? Is everyone here to see Sis Fong? 7-Star asked. Move aside. It has nothing to do with you. The middle-aged man snorted. 7-Star understood the seriousness of the matter. He naturally knew about the Fearless Alliance's internal affairs. Since everyone from all the camps was seeking out the president so aggressively, could it be that they could prove the president was a fake? Should I move aside just cause you said so? I only listened to Sis Fong and Wenziren. Who do you think you are? Big Dipper chortled while staring at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man frowned, obvious fury surfacing in his eyes. However, before the middle-aged man could say anything, he was interrupted by Third Elderly C. 7-Star, Big Dipper. I naturally know you two are loyal to the president. Loyalty is one thing, but don't be too blindly loyal. Actually, you two can't even be considered blindly loyal, right? Third Elderly C said with a chuckle while looking at 7-Star and Big Dipper. What do you mean, Third Elder? Why must you beat around the bush? How about you talk frankly? 7-Star asked. Third Elderly C smiled and said, do you know the President Fearless you're protecting isn't the real Bai Fong? She's a fake. What did you say? Big Dipper's expression changed instantly. What right do you have to say Sis Fong is a fake? That's right, 7-Star nodded. Third Elder, even if you're an elder of the Fearless Alliance, it's not a small crime for you to recklessly claim someone is pretending to be the president without any genuine proof. Proof? The middle-aged man snorted. Since we came here, we naturally have proof. Proof? Proof your mother's ass. Show me your proof. Big Dipper shouted. Chapter 1476. After Big Dipper said that, Liang Lihua rushed forward from the crowd and looked at Big Dipper and 7-Star. That woman is lying to you. Who are you? What nonsense are you farting in front of me? Big Dipper rolled up his sleeves and looked like he wanted to hit her. However, before Big Dipper could do anything, someone protected Liang Lihua behind them. As Yi Wanwan's teacher from senior high, Liang Lihua was the most important witness. They were depending on Liang Lihua to testify against that woman, so how could they allow Big Dipper to beat this woman to death, or allow an accident to happen to her? Big Dipper, this is a witness I brought from China. She can prove that our current president is a fake. Third Elderly C said indifferently. Third Elderly C didn't care about Big Dipper and 7-Star, but these two were part of Wenziren's camp, and Wenziren had an extremely good relationship with Bai Fong. Although Wenziren hadn't returned from his mission yet, he knew that Bai Fong returned to the Fearless Alliance, so they couldn't explain themselves to Wenziren if he came back and discovered Yi Wanwan had been sentenced to death already. Hence, they needed a witness like Liang Lihua to testify against Yi Wanwan. All right, Big Dipper nodded. I won't attack, but if this granny can't prove herself, I'm going to beat her to death. Liang Lihua's expression changed when she heard that. Just what kind of organization was the Fearless Alliance? How could they be so vicious and so keen on fighting and killing? I have proof. Liang Lihua quickly told Big Dipper out of fright. Little brother, let me tell you, you've been deceived by that little delinquent. She isn't Bai Fong. Her name is Yi Wanwan, and she's Chinese. Her father was previously suspected of business fraud, and her elder brother is a local hoodlum. Not too long ago, her father and brother were imprisoned for charges of murder. That little delinquent is most talented in deceiving people. I'm her senior high teacher. She often deceived male classmates back in school, and would con spending money from her male classmates. She's also done street prostitution. There isn't a single clean spot on her body. However, I never expected Yi Wanwan to be so unnervingly gutsy and dare to pretend to be your leader. Even I, her teacher, can't tolerate it anymore. She truly deserves to die. You fucking, Big Dipper shouted as soon as Liang Lihua finished speaking. His brain might be unresponsive often and he might not think through problems thoroughly, but how could Sis Feng be that kind of person? Ever since Sis Feng returned, she'd never faltered at any challenges and handled all the Fearless Alliance's major and minor problems competently. Even Third Elder and his cohort couldn't do anything to her. Moreover, Sis Feng was able to skillfully and easily interact with giants like Lord Azura and Emperor Ji. How could a normal woman from China take things so far? Who were they kidding? In truth, Seven Star also didn't believe it. Seven Star had been watching everything Yi Wanwan had done since her return, and there wasn't a single mistake. With Yi Wanwan's capabilities, even if she wasn't the president of the Fearless Alliance, she was still some formidable figure. Yet, Liang Lihua depicted her as a street prostitute and delinquent. What a laughingstock. With Sis Feng's looks, you're telling me she's a street prostitute. She's at least a wealthy man's mistress or something. Big Dipper exclaimed. 7 Star, isn't Big Dipper focusing on the wrong point? Chapter 1477. I swear it's true. I'm not lying to you at all. You mustn't be deceived by her looks. Liang Lihua pulled up the album on her phone and opened Yi Wanwan's senior high graduation photo, before having a nearby middle-aged man hand it to Big Dipper and 7 Star. After 7 Star and Big Dipper took the phone, they started examining the photos. This assessment caused Big Dipper to furrow his brows slightly. This was a school called Qinghe Senior High in China, and the women in the graduation photo did look identical to Sis Feng. This is Sis Feng. Big Dipper looked doubtful. What's Sis Feng? I already told you. You've been deceived by her. Her name is Yi Wanwan. Liang Lihua refuted. Humph. This photo must have been photoshopped. Big Dipper shouted furiously and ruthlessly slammed the phone onto the floor in front of everyone. A bang resounded and the phone cracked into smithereens, thoroughly mashed. Third Elder aloofly glanced at the shattered phone but didn't care. He'd already copied that graduation photo, so he could just show Wenziren the photo when he asked. Big Dipper, the photos are real, 7 Star said while looking at Big Dipper before Big Dipper could say anything else. Big Dipper was surprised. The photo was real. You're saying? Sis Feng ran to China to go to school after leaving the independent state? Big Dipper looked dumbfounded. 7 Star didn't say anything. Back then, 7 Star was the one who believed in Yi Wanwan the least in the entire Fearless Alliance, but all of his suspicions gradually dissipated after interacting with Yi Wanwan. Now this photo, and this witness. He couldn't refute any of it. However, before 7 Star could keep pondering over it, sounds of fighting and shouting were heard behind them. Everyone reflexively turned around and looked behind them. Experts from a different faction rushed into the Fearless Alliance's headquarters like a flood. The leader was around 30 years old, and had a buzz cut with an obvious knife scar over his left eye. When Third Elderly C saw the buzz-cut man, he instinctively froze for a moment before disbelief and shock covered his face. How could this be possible? Isn't he dead? Third Elderly C shuddered, color draining out of his face. It's Ling Hua from Ironhead Gang. You're actually still alive. Countless higher-ups of the Fearless Alliance were astonished when they saw the newcomer. He was still alive? How was that possible? Bang. The leader, the buzz-cut man, casually stuck his hands inside his pant pockets. He used one leg to kick an elite member of the Fearless Alliance aside, and led his followers toward them with large strides. No one in the Fearless Alliance expected the Ironhead Gang to truly be reborn from the ashes. What they found the hardest to accept was that Ling Hua didn't die. It's over, Li Si trembled. Ling Hua didn't die. As a higher-up from the Fearless Alliance looked at the buzz-cut man wearing a cruel smile, his complexion turned ashen and sweat soaked his clothes. Long time no see, everyone. The buzz-cut man swept his eyes over everyone, a frightening glint surfacing in his eyes. As the buzzcut man spoke, the elite members of the Fearless Alliance rushed over in succession. Who are you? How dare you trespass in our Fearless Alliance's headquarters? A squad captain in the Fearless Alliance saw all the higher-ups gathered there, and naturally wanted to perform well in front of them. Chapter 1478. As the squad captain shouted furiously, he swiftly charged at the buzzcut man and reached his side in moments. Although this squad captain was extremely fast, the buzzcut man merely stood unmoving in his spot, only his eyes shifting. Swish! The buzzcut man raised his right arm a little. In the next second, the buzzcut man grasped the squad captain by his throat and lifted him into the air. The squad captain's face swelled red, and his neck felt like a tiger's mouth was latching onto it. He used all the strength he had but couldn't wrestle free from the buzzcut man's grasp. Kachak! The sound of a person's neck snapping resounded a second later. Under everyone's astonished gazes, the elite member squad captain from the Fearless Alliance had his neck forcefully snapped broken by the buzzcut man. Bang! The buzzcut man raised his right arm again, and casually flung the squad captain's corpse into the distance. Ah! All the higher-ups of the Fearless Alliance present retreated subconsciously. Heh! A chilling chuckle left the buzzcut man's mouth as a bloodthirsty craze surfaced in his eyes. Oh, the Fearless Alliance, what fond memories, the buzzcut man murmured. I heard your president is back. No one dared to answer the buzzcut man at all. The Fearless Alliance and the Ironhead Gang were mortal enemies. Before the Fearless Alliance was established, the Ironhead Gang was the king of this territory, and its position was akin to the Fearless Alliance's at its peak. As for the buzzcut man's reputation in the independent state, it was the same as Baifeng's back then. However, Baifeng later established the Fearless Alliance and became enemies with the Ironhead Gang. To win the dominion of this territory, these two factions also fought viciously against each other. Later, the Ironhead Gang was defeated, and the buzzcut man had Baifeng to thank for the scar over his left eye. Linghua, what are you doing? The silver-haired elderly man holding a crutch shouted severely. The buzzcut man walked to the elderly man with his hands in his pant pockets, and his tall and slender figure bent down slightly. How about you take a guess? If you're right, you live. If you're wrong, you die. You. The silver-haired elderly man was furious. Other people were scared of Linghua from the Ironhead Gang, but not him. Tsk tisk. Linghua shook his head and grabbed the elderly man by the hair in front of the Fearless Alliance. When the members of the Ironhead Gang brought by the buzzcut man saw a higher-up from the Fearless Alliance humiliated like this, they burst into guffaws. If you were a few years younger, perhaps you'd have the right to speak to me. But you're old and useless now, Linghua said to the elderly man with a smile. A bellow came from the silver-haired elderly man's mouth, and he swiftly threw a punch at the buzzcut man's face. Bang! Everyone watched as Linghua shifted slightly and casually evaded the silver-haired elderly man's punch. Before the silver-haired elderly man realized it, Linghua grabbed his right fist. A second later, the elderly man's face changed drastically as sweat dripped down his face. Soon, a heart-wrenching howl erupted from his mouth. Li Si and the other elders were overwhelmed with shock. Linghua actually forcefully crushed the silver-haired elderly man's fist. What kind of terrifying strength did he have? Even President Fearless herself couldn't do this back then. Chapter 1479. Big Dipper clenched his fists as he stared at the buzzcut man, wanting to charge forward. Before he could do that though, he was held back by 7 Star, who shook his head toward Linghua. Linghua was called Death God in the independent state back then. At Big Dipper's strength, he was no match for Linghua. They didn't have a good chance of winning even if the two of them teamed up. Attacking Linghua would be the same as serving up their lives on a platter. Unless Baifeng fought him, no one in the Fearless Alliance could fend off Linghua. Earlier, Third Elder and the other higher-ups also heard news of the Ironhead Gang being revived from the ashes, but they didn't take it to heart. Years ago, Baifeng and Linghua had a duel, but Linghua lost and disappeared without a trace thereafter. Everyone thought Linghua died. No one expected Linghua to reappear today and lead the Ironhead Gang to attack the Fearless Alliance. Heh, don't be in such a rush to die, you clowns. Wait until we take care of Baifeng, Then we'll have some fun with you. It was a man standing next to Ling Hua from the Iron Head Gang who spoke. His lips curled up with a bone-chilling smile. Ling Hua, I think there's still room for negotiation between the Iron Head Gang and the Fearless Alliance. Our Fearless Alliance can give you compensation. Third Elder Li Si said with a smile. However, Ling Hua merely smiled and raised his right arm, waving it toward Li Si's face. A crisp smack was heard as Ling Hua slapped Li Si, the enormous force behind his hand causing Li Si to spiral a few times like a spinning top. The Fearless Alliance didn't dare to say a single word against the man's arrogance and insolence. Instead, they all retreated backward. In truth, these higher-ups didn't care about Yi Wanwan's death, but what Ling Hua wanted was to destroy the Fearless Alliance. Ling Hua's eyes swept across the Fearless Alliance and chuckled lightly. Where's your president, Bai? Bring me to your president. Fuck it. We're gonna wreck these bastards. Big Dipper shouted angrily all of a sudden. 7 Stars' brows furrowed. They had no chance of winning. Fucking. Are you all still members of the Fearless Alliance? The worst thing that could happen would be dying together. Who's afraid of that son of a bitch? Big Dipper continued when he was met with a lack of response. The faces of the other higher-ups, including Third Elder, looked as dark as the bottom of a pan. It wasn't important if Ling Hua killed that woman, but he absolutely wouldn't spare them after he killed her. In the end, wouldn't they all perish? Attack! An elder hollered at the members of the Fearless Alliance. Following the elder's orders, dozens of people attacked at once and charged toward Ling Hua. Now you resemble the old Fearless Alliance. The corner of Ling Hua's turned up with an icy smile. Swish. Bang. Boom. Ling Hua was so fast that he was like a shadow shooting through the air. Hit after hit was heard, and the members of the Fearless Alliance all flew backward like snipped kites one after another. Quick. Get up. Don't be afraid. Attack. Fuck him, kick his balls. Poke his eyes out. Big Dipper rattled off order after order from his position in the back. Chapter 1480, Big Dipper, you motherfucker. A higher-up pointed at Big Dipper and shouted, You fucking told us to attack, but you yourself are hiding in the back and running your mouth off. The higher-up wanted to curse some more, but was punched in the head by Ling Hua, so he collapsed onto the floor at once and fainted. Big Dipper. Let's attack. 7 Star rotated his neck and stepped into the crowd. Who said I'm not attacking? Open your dog eyes wide and see how ferocious I am. Big Dipper shouted when he saw 7 Star joining the fight and shooting into the crowd. As 7 Star entered the crowd, he saw how Ling Hua was standing with his hands casually placed in his pant pockets and knocked over 3rd Elder and 4th Elder with a kick in the blink of an eye like a dragon sweeping his tail. Ling Hua, don't go too far. A cold glint flashed in 1st Elder's eyes. He formed his hand into a claw and swiped at Ling Hua's neck. The other experts, including 3rd Elder, focused on them upon seeing 1st Elder's attack. Currently speaking, the strongest person in the Fearless Alliance was 1st Elder. However, 1st Elder and Ling Hua exchanged no more than a few blows before he was knocked to the ground by Ling Hua. And Ling Hua stepped onto 1st Elder's body. Swish. 7 Star appeared in front of Ling Hua out of nowhere and karate chopped Ling Hua. Ling Hua immediately tilted his head to the side a fraction and evaded 7 Star's karate chop. Heh, they called you 7 Star just now. Let me think, are you the child who followed by phone back then? Ling Hua asked with a faint smile while examining 7 Star. 7 Star wasn't interested in replying to Ling Hua. After the first attack missed its mark, he leaned forward again and grabbed Ling Hua by his lapels, wanting to fling him into the air. 7 Star applied force to his wrist, but Ling Hua remained unmoving with one foot stepping on 1st Elder, akin to an unshakable mountain. Child, where's Bai Feng? Ling Hua smiled as he ruthlessly slammed his left elbow into 7 Star. Bang! 7 Star's expression shifted. His body felt like a train had crashed into it, and he uncontrollably retreated backward. I'm gonna kill you. Big Dipper first caught 7 Star from behind, and waited until 7 Star steadied himself before shouting and charging toward Ling Hua. Despair surfaced in the Fearless Alliance member's eyes. Ling Hua was too terrifying. Who was his match in the Fearless Alliance? At the same time, Inside the office, Yi Wanwan was sitting in her chair, and she had reached the bottom of her glass of hard liquor already. The scent of alcohol permeated her body. Her eyes were tightly shut as though she was sleeping. With her alcohol tolerance, the consequences of drinking an entire bottle of hard liquor could be imagined. She probably mistakenly drank half a bottle of hard liquor at first, but lost control after the effects hit her, and guzzled down the rest of the bottle. A moment later, Yi Wanwan dazedly opened her eyes, seemingly awoken by the sounds of fighting outside. She shook the empty bottle in her hand before shakily standing up and staggering out of the office. Yi Wanwan didn't walk far. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she watched the buzzcut man, Ling Hua, oppressively beating up everyone around him. An icy glint soon appeared in Yi Wanwan's eyes. It was at that time that Ling Hua grabbed Big Dipper by his neck and raised him into the air. As Big Dipper's feet left the ground, his face swelled red, a pained expression overtook his face, and his throat burned. Wasn't Ling Hua too powerful? Chapter 1481. 1481. 7-star suddenly felt a light tap on his left shoulder. Big Dipper, who was about to charge forward, reflexively looked behind him. Sis Feng? 7-star was startled by Yi Wanwan's abrupt appearance. Also, what was going on? She carried the stench of alcohol. The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips turned up a fraction, revealing a smile that struck chords of familiarity in 7-star. This was Sis Feng's smile when he met her for the first time back then. Bewitching, confident, arrogant. Before 7-star could say something, Yi Wanwan walked forward and lifted her leg, mercilessly kicking Ling Hua's ass. Caught off guard, Ling Hua fell victim to Yi Wanwan's leg, and was sent flying 3 or 4 meters back while stringing Big Dipper along. After kicking Ling Hua, Yi Wanwan yawned and sat down on the back of a Fearless Alliance higher-up who fainted. She closed her eyes and continued to sleep soundly. Ling Hua shot up a second later and sent Yi Wanwan a biting look. Who are you? This. Sis Feng. Big Dipper called out, astonished, while looking at her. None of the Fearless Alliance higher-ups glanced at Yi Wanwan at all. They were all focused on devising a method of saving themselves and the Fearless Alliance somehow. Bai Feng, is it? Ling Hua wore an icy smile. Although he hadn't seen her for many years and the woman who left a scar over his left eye wasn't as stunningly gorgeous as the woman before him. She was but a mere girl in his memories. Big Dipper called her Sis Feng just now, so this had to be her. Bai Feng, long time no see. How have you been? Ling Hua asked with a cold smile while walking toward her. However, Yi Wanwan didn't respond at all, and remained sitting on the Fearless Alliance member's back. She didn't even open her eyes. President Bai, you're just as you were back then, conceited and arrogant. Today, I didn't come to the Fearless Alliance to do much. I just came to dig out your eyeballs. I will keep them well and store them as a memento. What do you think, President Bai? Ling Hua continued with a chuckle. Yi Wanwan still didn't give a hint of a reaction. At the same time, Big Dipper and 7-star, along with various higher-ups from the Fearless Alliance, all looked at each other in confusion. Suddenly, everyone saw a dagger appearing in Ling Hua's hand, and he struck Yi Wanwan's eyes. Why is she sleeping? Big Dipper was dumbfounded. Even if she wanted to sleep, shouldn't she pick a more suitable time? She's drunk, 7-star interjected suddenly. Drunk? Big Dipper was bewildered, and happened to catch sight of the tightly gripped liquor bottle in Yi Wanwan's hand from the corner of his eyes. The entire bottle of liquor had reached the bottom already. How could she freaking not be drunk? Moreover, Big Dipper had never seen Sis Feng drink, so in his mind, Sis Feng was someone who'd never drunk before. There was no way she wouldn't get drunk after drinking an entire bottle of liquor. Plus, the strong smell of alcohol emanating from Sis Feng proved she was indeed drunk. She wasn't sleeping. She was drunkenly unconscious. You freaking dare! Big Dipper shouted angrily after learning Yi Wanwan was unconscious from drinking and charged toward Ling Hua again. Regardless of the truth, he couldn't stand by and watch this woman die. However, in a fraction of a second, Yi Wanwan's closed eyes shot open. Chapter 1482. Different from the past. Her eyes were bewitching and icy, making her look like she was a completely different person from the typical Yi Wanwan. In front of everyone, Yi Wanwan smashed her empty bottle against Ling Huo's head. Bang! The bottle shattered, and Ling Huo faltered back. Glass pieces pierced the skin on Ling Huo's head, and scarlet blood dripped down. This was an incredibly shocking scene to Seven Star and Big Dipper. Didn't Sis Feng lose consciousness after getting drunk? How is this possible? Heh. Ling Huo chuckled lightly and stared at Yi Wanwan, unconcerned about the blood on his forehead. President Bai, were you pretending to be drunk to lower my guard? Yi Wanwan's eyes landed on Ling Huo, an icy glint sparkling in them. This man seemed a bit familiar, but he elicited dislike in her. Yi Wanwan languidly stood up from the Fearless Alliance member's back, while looking at Ling Huo with a faint smile on her lips. She hooked her finger at him. Come here. Her words paired with her extremely derisive and arrogant expression, causing Ling Huo's smile to finally recede. Loser, who gave you the guts to stand in front of me? An icy smile spread across Yi Wanwan's lips. When Yi Wanwan said that, Big Dipper and Seven Star met each other's eyes in astonishment. Didn't they just prove that this woman wasn't the president? But, when they looked at this woman in front of them, why was she identical to Sis Feng? Even if there were similar-looking people in the world, how could their auras and temperaments be so similar? President Bai, your tone is just like the past. Egoistical without any limits. Ling Huo laughed darkly. His figure transformed into a shadow, and he raised the coldly glinting dagger in his hand, aiming at Yi Wanwan's eyes. It had to be said that Ling Huo was extremely fast and carried a strong explosive strength. In the blink of an eye, when he reappeared, he was standing next to Yi Wanwan. Swish! Ling Huo's dagger stabbed at Yi Wanwan, a white glint flashing. Before anyone could react, Yi Wanwan aloofly caught Ling Huo's wrist. Two slender fingers held the dagger between them. No matter how Ling Huo struggled, the dagger didn't move, as though this woman's fingers were an unshakable mountain. A strange sound rang out, and everyone watched as Ling Huo's dagger snapped into pieces with a pinch of Yi Wanwan's fingers. This scene evoked everyone's disbelief. Damn. Sis Feng's awesome. Big Dipper looked shaken. Sis Feng, kick his little C***CK. Quick. Snap it like that dagger. Show this fucker the consequences of being C***CKY. Yi Wanwan glanced at Big Dipper and sent him an odd smile. Big Dipper was startled. This smile was familiar. Hey, you're too weak. Yi Wanwan nonchalantly remarked as she looked away and stared at Ling Huo. Chapter 1483. 1483 Attack. Kill this damn bitch. The Ironhead gang instantly rushed toward Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan lifted her leg and brutally kicked Ling Huo's abdomen. Ling Huo's face twisted in indescribable pain, and he was sent flying back several meters like a snipped kite. Yi Wanwan pointed a finger outward and knocked down the underlings at the front of charging group. That's all you've got? Yi Wanwan shook her head and dashed into the crowd. Before the Ironhead gang realized what happened, a shadow flashed in front of their eyes, and they felt like they were slammed down by a mountain that plunged down from the sky, and they flew into the air one after another. The various higher-ups of the Fearless Alliance, including Third Elderly C, were flabbergasted and incredulous. This woman was a fake. The Ironhead gang's previous insulting shouts and jeering taunts turned into yelps of alarm and screams of terror. Was this woman a monster? Bai Feng, I want you dead. Ling Huo stood up again suddenly and bolted toward Yi Wanwan. Kneel down. Yi Wanwan smacked the back of Ling Huo's head a moment later. A loud bang rang out and Ling Huo was kneeling on the ground. Lord Huo. When the Ironhead gang's members saw Ling Huo subdued by this monster-like girl, dozens of them wanted to go up and help him. However, before they could do anything, Yi Wanwan's gaze swept toward them. Every member who received Yi Wanwan's gaze shuddered slightly and turned quiet from fear, not daring to move in the slightest. Bai Feng. Ling Huo's laid-back expression disappeared completely, and was replaced by a vicious one. He wanted to stand up, but Yi Wanwan's left palm gently tapped Ling Huo's shoulder, and every move was a waste of his efforts. He couldn't struggle free from Yi Wanwan's grasp at all. You are too weak. Yi Wanwan's lips turned up with a bewitching smile as she stared at the furious Ling Huo. Bai Feng, don't be too arrogant. You'll eventually end up in my hands. Ling Hua said maliciously. As he spoke his last word, Yuanwan lifted her leg and ferociously kicked his head. Another loud bang. Later, and Ling Hua fluttered back several meters like a piece of paper in the midst of wild winds. When Ling Hua crashed onto the ground heavily, he lost consciousness and turned into an unmoving heap. When the remaining people from the Ironhead gang saw Ling Hua kicked unconscious by President Fearless, they shuddered. Was Fearless Alliance really human? Third Elder Li Si turned to look at Yi Wanwan incredulously. Every move Yi Wanwan displayed just now was part of the secret technique created by President Fearless, by Feng herself. Despite his strength, Ling Hua was still beaten black and blue by this woman like a puppet. He couldn't retaliate at all in her hands. The higher-ups of the Fearless Alliance were all incredibly shocked. Who freaking said their president was a fake? On the other hand, Liang Lihua already took advantage of the chaos and escaped without a trace. Could it be she's really President Fearless? She's Bai Feng. Li Si was shaken to his roots. Chapter 1480. For he had never believed this woman was President Fearless. Her manner of speech and behavior, and her appearance were different than that of the true president of the Fearless Alliance, Bai Feng. Also, she'd never showcased her strength. Hence, nearly all the higher-ups thought Yi Wanwan was fake. Some of them even agreed that whoever first found solid evidence that proved this woman was pretending to the president could ascend the throne to become the next president of the Fearless Alliance. Now most of the higher-ups were emotionally staring at Yi Wanwan, joy and excitement evident in their expressions. President. Second Elder knelt in front of Yi Wanwan with a plop. President. It's really President. The higher-ups were rather incoherent in their speech. The president of the Fearless Alliance had been missing for many years. No one expected her to actually return one day. Third Elder collapsed on the ground while staring at Yi Wanwan. It's over. What did I do to the president? President, you're really back. Another elder knelt next to Yi Wanwan, tears streaming down his face. During these years without Bai Feng, the Fearless Alliance lost its former glory, and the factions that used to kneel by the Fearless Alliance's feet now dared to sneer at the Fearless Alliance. If the president didn't disappear back then, the current Fearless Alliance wouldn't have deteriorated to this extent. Aside from the external situation, the Fearless Alliance was also severely fractured internally and had separated into several major camps that minded their own business. President Fearless, we were idiots. We didn't recognize you, President Fearless. We even thought you were fake, and wanted to find proof that you were a pretender. A certain elder looked embarrassingly ashamed. The higher-ups in Third Elder Li Si's camp all looked at each other blankly, sweat dripping from their foreheads, not daring to breathe loudly. They hadn't respected the president the entire time since she returned and offended her many times in their speech. Were they done for? You actually still suspect Sis Feng? I already said Sis Feng wasn't fake. Big Dipper mocked with a snort after listening to them. Seven Star shook his head. He couldn't blame them. After all, the president's return was too coincidental. Even he suspected her many times. Yi Wanwan didn't grace them with a single glance, and merely yawned before languidly turning around and re-entering her office. President, what should we do with Ling Hua and his group? A higher-up asked, but Yi Wanwan didn't respond at all. In the end, the higher-ups had no choice but to lock Ling Hua and the Ironhead gang members into the Fearless Alliance's dungeon. After relaying the orders, the higher-ups entered Yi Wanwan's office, but saw her sitting in her chair, sound asleep. What's the president doing? A higher-up looked confused. Could it be that the president was too exhausted from fighting with Ling Hua? Sis Feng's drunk, Seven Star replied. Drunk? Everyone present was taken back. No wonder the strong smell of alcohol lingered on Yi Wanwan's body. It was just that Ling Hua's appearance sent everyone into chaos, so they didn't notice this earlier. Nonsense. How could you allow the president to drink so much alcohol? What would we do if the president lost to Ling Hua or got injured because she was drunk? An elder harshly admonished Big Dipper. Chapter 1485. Big Dipper was dumbfounded. What the heck did this have to do with him? Sis Feng never drank alcohol, so who knew why she went crazy and treated alcohol like an ordinary beverage? He wanted to curse foully, but the other person was an elder, so he resisted. When will the president wake up? Another higher-up turned to Big Dipper. Big Dipper thought about it and casually said, "Don't ask me. You should ask the alcohol that Sis Feng drank instead. If it's weaker, then Sis Feng will wake up sooner. If it's stronger, then Sis Feng will wake up later." Before that higher-up could reply, Virus and Great White suddenly opened their eyes and walked toward them one after the other. They both sat down next to Yuan, their beastly eyes intently sweeping over everyone. With Virus and Great White there, the people didn't dare to get too close and merely took up watch outside. A few hours passed before Yuan slowly opened her eyes, and the scent of alcohol around her gradually dissipated. Yuan felt like her head was splitting and her mouth was as dry as sandpaper. She had a dream. In the dream, she transformed into a super expert, and seemed to have trounced another expert. As for why she thrashed that expert in her dream, she herself didn't know. When Virus saw Yuan waking up, he licked Yuan's cheek, the papillae on his tongue hurting Yuan's skin. "Be good, little black." Yuan straightened up her body and scratched Virus' head. Meanwhile, Virus closed his eyes and everything about him screamed, "I'm really enjoying this." Sis Feng. 7-Star quickly poured a cup of water and handed it to Yuan. Yuan just happened to be tormented by thirst, so she drank the cup of water in one gulp. "What happened to me?" Yuan pinched her brows. 7-Star looked a bit exasperated but had to reply honestly, "Sis Feng, you drank some alcohol and got drunk." Yuan was startled. "I drank alcohol? And freaking got drunk?" She finally recalled how she got thirsty after she returned to her office, so she emptied the bottle of liquor that piece of shit gave her, thinking it was a non-alcoholic beverage. Yuan couldn't help but get worried. Her memories were drawing up blank. Did she do anything improper after getting drunk? Did she accidentally expose her identity while she was drunk? "Sis Feng, you're finally awake. How should we punish that fucker Ling Hua? Kill him or beat him to death?" Big Dipper asked while jogging toward Yuan. Yuan was befuddled by Big Dipper's words. Huh? What was Big Dipper saying? Who the heck was Ling Hua? Also, weren't killing and beating to death the same thing? Oh right, ignore Ling Hua for now. Those old geezers are all waiting outside and wanting to see you, Sis Feng, Big Dipper added. Yuan's brows furrowed slightly when she heard that. Haven't those old geezers done enough? Are they uncomfortable unless they cause trouble? Tell them to enter. Yuan sat up straight. Big Dipper nodded and left the office. Soon, the higher-ups and elders of various camps in the Fearless Alliance all rushed into the office, including Third Elder Li Si. "President, are you okay?" First Elder, in his red suit, hastily walked toward Yuan, worry brimming on his face. Yuan was bewildered. She naturally remembered this First Elder. He never cared about her before, so what was up with him today? Chapter 1486. 1486 also, what the heck was with his worry? President, you drank too much earlier. Your health is most important, so you should partake moderately or else you'll damage your body. Third Elder Li Si also quickly came forward with a grin on his face. Third Elder and First Elder belonged to two different camps and both wanted to find proof of her pretending to be the president of the Fearless Alliance, then ascend to the president's throne. These two people normally wanted nothing more than for her to die faster. Yuan was confused inside but remained silent. President, this subordinate is guilty. Third Elder suddenly knelt in front of Yuan without warning, remorse brimming on his face. Yuan was flabbergasted by this scene. What was Third Elder doing? Did he also get poisoned by goo? President Fearless, I was blind before and kept doubting your identity. I even wanted to find proof that you were pretending to be the president and become the new president. However, this subordinate is wholly devoted to you. This subordinate knows better than anyone how much sweat and blood you exhausted in order to create the Fearless Alliance. Hence, I thought only I could take on this large responsibility aside from the president. This way, the Fearless Alliance can travel farther. This subordinate absolutely didn't want to obtain iron control over the Fearless Alliance. It was for the Fearless Alliance. Third Elder Li Si said emotionally. Yuanwan. Heh. Third Elder, aren't you too conceited? Even if the president truly disappeared, I don't think you would achieve much with your nature even if you became the president. First Elder commented while looking at Li Si. Li Si snorted at First Elder. It's still better than some people who merely want to become the president. First Elder's expression shifted, and he pointed at Third Elder with a furious expression. Li Si, don't you dare run your mouth off in front of President Fearless. Heaven and earth can testify my devotion to the Fearless Alliance. You can't twist the truth with a few words. First Elder, I was just talking about some people but didn't specifically name you. What's got your panties twisted, huh? Did I mention your name? The president is extraordinarily wise. I don't need to twist the truth. Li Si sneered. Yi Wanwan became more confused as she watched Third Elder and First Elder erupt into an argument. What wrong medication did these two people take? They called out president again and again, each one sounding more intimate than how they'd addressed their father. Enough. Yi Wanwan impatiently waved her hand. Go outside to fight if that's all you want. First Elder and Third Elder immediately stopped arguing. President. This subordinate mistakenly thought you were a pretender, and offended you several times. Please consider this subordinate's benign intentions, and spare this subordinate's rightful death sentence. Third Elder cautiously glanced at Yi Wanwan while saying this. Although Yi Wanwan didn't know the previous events and what wrong medication they took, she had to keep acting. Yi Wanwan's eyes shifted, and she turned to Third Elder and coldly said, I naturally know you have Fearless Alliance's best interests in mind. I was away from the Fearless Alliance for so many years and returned so coincidentally, so it's reasonable for you to have suspicions. As they say, the ignorant are innocent, but this is not to be repeated. Huh. Third Elder Li Si was evidently taken aback by Yi Wanwan's last sentence. Chapter 1487. Even Li Si himself didn't expect the president to spare him. Li Si originally thought he'd lose a layer of skin, even if he didn't die. The best result would be getting kicked out of the Fearless Alliance. He never would have expected the president to spare him. President. Li Si clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. President, you are right. If a person randomly came and we all easily acknowledged her identity, that'd be true disloyalty to you, President. Don't worry, I'll protect your safety with everything I've got from now on. Heh. Li Si, how mighty you've gotten. Since when did the president require your protection? First Elder mockingly ridiculed. Third Elder glanced at First Elder but didn't seem willing to pay attention to him, so he didn't snub First Elder back. Upon seeing President Fearless pardoning Third Elder Li Si's crime of disrespect, the other higher-ups who previously doubted Yi Wanwan's identity all knelt in front of her and pleaded for mercy. Yi Wanwan was forced to absolve them of their crimes one by one. Big Dipper secretly gave Yi Wanwan a thumbs up and quietly said to 7-Star, Brilliant. Sis Feng is truly Sis Feng, she's too brilliant. Old 7, do you know? This is the art of controlling people. It's called the art of an emperor. 7-Star glanced at Big Dipper. In truth, this wasn't the art of an emperor at all. What else could Yi Wanwan do but pardon Third Elder and the others of their crimes? Stand up and beat them to death? Could she win? The people pardoned by Yi Wanwan finally relaxed. Third Elder suddenly spoke up. President. The Ironhead Gang and Ling Hua are currently locked up in the dungeon. How should we punish them? Before Yi Wanwan could respond, First Elder snorted at Li Si. Third Elder, do you need to ask the president about this kind of thing? Ling Hua and his group should naturally be executed to prevent future trouble. Third Elder turned to look at First Elder. I'm speaking to the president right now. Why are you butting in? We're going to punish them however you want. Do you think you're the president? You. First Elder's expression shifted. Li Si, stop slandering me in front of the president. I'm telling the truth. The president can naturally see and listen for herself whether I'm talking nonsense without me saying it. Li Si looked disdainful. During the years Bai Feng was missing, First Elder and Third Elder were at odds with each other, and acted like fire and water. As for the two camps led by these two, they also exploded into several battles, but a winner couldn't be determined. It was only in the last 2 years that they eased up a little. Linghua, the Ironhead gang. Yuanwan was confused. Did she offend some powerful figure after she got drunk and her memories blacked out? What was up with the person locked up in the dungeon? President, Linghua is in the dungeon right now. Do you want to see him first? A higher-up asked Yuanwan. Yuanwan mulled over it for a moment before nodding and saying, "Let's go see." How could Yuanwan possibly know who Linghua was? She had no choice but to go and see the situation for herself. All the higher-ups hastily stood up, and First Elder held open the office's glass door for Yuanwan. Soon, everyone headed toward the Fearless Alliance's dungeon, including 7-Star and Big Dipper. The Fearless Alliance's dungeon was located in the headquarters sub-1 floor, and used to be utilized for imprisoning Fearless Alliance members who committed wrongs. However, it was later turned into a prison for enemies and hostages. Chapter 1488. In the damp and dim dungeon, a molding scent lingered in the air, causing discomfort to whoever breathed it in. In all the time Yuanwan had been the president of the Fearless Alliance, this was her first time visiting the Alliance's dungeon. The dungeon located in the sub-first floor occupied a vast amount of space, and contained hundreds of individual iron cells. On the way, Yuanwan saw countless men and women from the Ironhead gang locked up in their respective cells. By phone, one day, "I'm gonna make you die miserably, you damn bitch." An imprisoned Ironhead gang member cursed loudly at Yuanwan between gritted teeth while clutching the cell's iron bars with both hands. "You're dead." Third Elderly C became furious immediately. He wanted to say something else but was interrupted by Yuanwan. Yuanwan didn't know any of these people, nor did she know why they were imprisoned in the Fearless Alliance's dungeon. However, the majority of the Ironhead gang members who saw Yuanwan instinctively trembled, and fear filled their eyes as they stared at her, not daring to breathe loudly. Yuanwan was startled by the terror in these people's eyes. They all look like they're waiting for death. Am I so terrifying? Soon Third Elder and the others led Yuanwan to a cell and stopped. Inside the cell was a buzz-cut man whose face was somewhat pale. A frightening, chilly glint emitted from his eyes when he saw Yuanwan. "By phone you're here," Linghua coldly said with a smile from his seated position on the ground. Yuanwan looked at him. This buzz-cut man looked rather familiar, as though she'd seen him somewhere before. However, Yuanwan couldn't recall anything at the moment. Linghua, you're about to die. Do you have anything you want to say?" First Elder asked coldly while staring at the buzz-cut man. Linghua's lips turned up with a bone-chilling smile. "I'm called a king if successful and a bandit if defeated. Since I lost, there's not much to say." Yuanwan examined him upon hearing that. This man was a true man, but why was he locked up in the dungeon? Did he have animosities with the Fearless Alliance? Not to mention that he was rather handsome. The scar over his left eye was a bit ferocious, but it added a certain manliness to his looks. "President, Linghua has offended you several times. Let's kill him," a higher-up said to Yuanwan. Yuanwan shook her head. What freaking sin did the previous President Fearless keep committing? She kept killing this and that at every turn. She was President Fearless now though. If she continued to act recklessly, she'd eventually offend all the factions in the independent state. At that point, she wouldn't even know how she died. Couldn't they be more peaceful and friendly? Was it really that difficult to be a Zen-like Fearless Alliance, and a Zen-like President Fearless? As for who in the world this man was and what crime he committed, she had no idea. How could she wantonly kill him? After some careful thought, she decided it wasn't beneficial to make too many enemies. If she killed him now, that Ironhead gang would probably come back and seek revenge later. Of course, Yuanwan didn't think she was being soft-hearted. She wasn't truly the president of the Fearless Alliance, so why should she make enemies for herself because of the Fearless Alliance? She wasn't dumb. Chapter 1489. 1489 Habai phone. "What, you specifically came here to humiliate me before I die?" Linghua said with a snort while staring at Yuanwan. Yuanwan couldn't help but shake her head. Was there something wrong with this man's head? Why didn't he say some flattering words at a time like this? She couldn't even find a reason to spare him now. Why did he want to die so much? Wasn't it better to live? Which of the higher-ups next to her was easygoing? By phone, kill me if you want. Don't bother wasting your words. Ling Hua spoke up again when he didn't get a response from Yi Wanwan. Why can't you freaking help me? Let's give both of us an out. Based on the situation though, it didn't seem possible to make this man give in. Heh. Yi Wanwan's eyes shifted, and she stared at the man with a faint smile. Ling Hua, although you keep offending the Fearless Alliance over and over again, it'd be a pity if I killed a true man like you. Today, if you swear a blood oath that you'll live life dutifully and honestly from now on, perhaps I can consider sparing you. Everyone, including First Elder and Third Elder, was taken aback by Yi Wanwan's words. Did we mishear something? The president wanted to spare Ling Hua? Ling Hua's a rabid dog through and through. If we don't eliminate this rabid dog now, he'll definitely make a comeback in the future. Although they didn't need to worry too much with the president there, it was still unsettling to be targeted by a rabid dog. President, this person offended you multiple times, so he should be executed on the spot. Li Si's eyes sparkled coldly as he looked at the imprisoned Ling Hua. Heh. Ling Hua chuckled aloofly and locked his eyes onto Yi Wanwan. By phone, we know each other very well, so why must you act so pretentiously in front of me? Why don't you give me a clean death instead? Humph. First Elder snorted while staring at the buzzcut man. Ling Hua, as a prisoner of the Fearless Alliance, your fate has been determined already, so how dare you act so arrogantly in front of the president? If Bai Feng didn't exist, you would be nothing. Ling Hua glanced at First Elder and his cohort and snorted. All the higher-ups got enraged and wanted nothing more than to hack Ling Hua into thousands of pieces. Ling Hua was telling the truth. Nearly all of them were thrashed mercilessly by Ling Hua that day. If it weren't for the president showing up in time, the consequences would be too horrible to imagine. Ling Hua, haven't you heard of the saying, called a king if successful, called a bandit if defeated? Li Si sneered. Your hypothetical situation is non-existent. We might not be a match for you without the president, but unfortunately, how could our Fearless Alliance exist without the president? Ling Hua snorted but didn't respond. Yi Wanwan was confused. What does this have to do with me? Her brows furrowed. Could it be that I did something after I got drunk and my memories blacked out? Before Yi Wanwan could think about this any deeper, Third Elder reverently said to her, President, it'd be better to execute Ling Hua and his group. If we release them, it'd be the same as releasing a tiger to its domain. Although Yi Wanwan understood this principle, she didn't want to shoulder this blame. Regardless of the Ironhead Gang's strength, they were still a faction, and Ling Hua seemed to be the boss of this Ironhead Gang. If she eliminated him, it'd be a disaster. The members of the Ironhead Gang would seek revenge from her. Chapter 1490. 1490. Of course, if they spared Ling Hua, it'd be like releasing a tiger to its domain, as Third Elder said. But she wasn't the true president of the Fearless Alliance. After her rose of death got stronger, she'd definitely leave the Fearless Alliance, and wouldn't act as the Fearless Alliance's scapegoat anymore. President Fearless, you're saying? A higher-up turned to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan mulled over it for a moment before making her decision. She said, her tone not allowing for any dissent. Release him and his group. All the higher-ups of the Fearless Alliance, including Big Dipper and Seven Star, were astonished. After capturing them with great difficulty, they were really going to release them? Even Ling Hua furrowed his brows. He examined Yi Wanwan for a few seconds before asking, confusion coloring his words. By phone, you're seriously releasing me? Yi Wanwan stared at Ling Hua and snorted. Ling Hua, I can release you and your underlings today, but I'm advising you to refrain from provoking the Fearless Alliance from now on. If you're truly capable of provoking the Fearless Alliance, you wouldn't be imprisoned here today. What do you say? Ling Hua didn't say anything in response. Just as Yi Wanwan said, today's battle allowed Ling Hua to fully understand that he wasn't a match for President Fearless at all with his current strength. Of course, this wasn't the important point. What remained most obscure to Ling Hua was why Bai Feng spared him. Bai Feng, even if you release me today, I won't be grateful to you, the buzzcut man said while staring at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan, I don't need you to be grateful. I'll be thankful to your whole family as long as you don't freaking target me every day. President, please reconsider. Li Si hastily interjected. Release them. Yi Wanwan waved her hand. Upon seeing that Yi Wanwan had made up her mind, Third Elder bit back his words and finally ordered the members guarding the prison to open the cell. After Ling Hua walked out of his cell, he turned to Yi Wanwan. Bai Feng, you said you'd also release my people, not just me. Of course. Yi Wanwan waved her hand and had Li Si release all the Ironhead gang members. A moment later, the people from the Ironhead gang exited their cells, and all stood silently behind the buzzcut man with their heads lowered. Bai Feng, you're really going to release us? You won't regret it? Ling Hua looked at Yi Wanwan. If you're unsatisfied, you can go back inside and stay there. Yi Wanwan pointed at the cell that once belonged to Ling Hua. Heh. All right then. Bai Feng, my brothers and I thank you today, but the debt with this scar isn't over yet. It's a small world, so I'm sure we'll meet again someday, Ling Hua said. Enough rubbish. Get lost already. First Elder snapped irritably. Ling Hua didn't care. He waved his hand and turned around, leading everyone from the Ironhead gang toward the exit. After Ling Hua had completely left the Fearless Alliance's headquarters, First Elder turned to Yi Wanwan and said, President Fearless, Ling Hua is a real piece of work. Since we didn't eliminate him at his roots today, he'll probably seek revenge later. Yi Wanwan glanced at First Elder. What are you worried about with me here? First Elder carefully thought about her words and found them valid. Now that the president had returned, why did they need to be afraid of Ling Hua? They could forget about it if Ling Hua didn't return to seek revenge. If he dared to come, they'd make sure there was no return for him next time. Chapter 1491 President. There's something this subordinate doesn't understand. Third Elder Li Si walked toward Yi Wanwan and asked with confusion. Why did you allow Ling Hua to leave today, President? Yi Wanwan glanced at Third Elder. She didn't have any bad blood with the buzzcut man, whether it was the past or present. So what use did she have for his life? Of course, Yi Wanwan kept that to herself. I have my reasons for releasing him. Third Elder turned pensive for a moment before giving her a giant thumbs up and reverently saying, I knew you didn't release him for a simple reason, President. The President is indeed the President. Your foresight is absolutely brilliant. Yi Wanwan was baffled as she looked at Li Si. What did I say? Isn't Li Si's flattery a bit? Moreover, he clearly had a vicious personality, but suddenly made a turnaround. His familiarity made her feel like he was about to plaster his face to her. I find it rather creepy, okay? She truly missed the old Li Si. After leaving the dungeon, Yi Wanwan wanted to ask Big Dipper what happened after she got drunk along with the situation regarding Ling Hua and his Ironhead gang. However, she realized it was difficult to ask. If she asked directly, she was afraid other people would get suspicious, but if she asked covertly, Big Dipper probably wouldn't understand her. If he didn't understand her, it would be hard to get any information out of him. Yi Wanwan strongly believed she had to have done something after getting drunk that caused all the Fearless Alliance's higher-ups to change their attitudes toward her. Otherwise, there was no way they'd staunchly believe she was President Fearless for no reason. Regardless of what happened after she got drunk, it was a good thing these higher-ups didn't doubt her identity anymore. Yi Wanwan was still curious about what she did while drunk that caused these old geezers who plotted to kill her to become so complacent and obedient. Could she really be the president of the Fearless Alliance, by phone? Before Yi Wanwan could ponder over it anymore, her phone started ringing. Yi Wanwan glanced at her phone. It was Nameless Nia calling. Haha, Boss Famous, how are you doing? Nameless Nia's laughter resounded from the phone. Fine, not dead yet, Yi Wanwan snapped. Nameless Nia was seriously too good at digging pits. If it weren't for him eating from both ends, would she have been poisoned by some love goo? Boss Famous, you're old but vigorous, so how could you be dead? Nameless Nia replied hurriedly. What? Old but vigorous? Sister Famous Yi, I'm at the place we met last time. Come quickly. I won't leave until I see you. Nameless Nya didn't give Yi Wanwan a chance to respond before swiftly hanging up the phone. Then wait patiently, Yi Wanwan muttered between gritted teeth while glaring at her phone. Yi Wanwan called Big Dipper over and played a game of Fight the Landlord. Only after winning all the cash on Big Dipper's body did she contently head to the meeting place with Nameless Nya. Several hours later, Yi Wanwan finally entered the tea house and immediately saw Nameless Nya sitting at the table in the corner. Nameless Nya quickly stood up. Damn. Boss Famous, aren't you too good at digging pits? You're finally here. You didn't pick up any of my calls. Yi Wanwan didn't respond. She sat down and drank a cup of tea before looking at Nameless Nya and languidly saying, no matter how good I am at digging pits, I'm still not as good as your esteemed self. Chapter 1492. 1492 Nameless Nya instantly grinned. Haha, Boss Famous, look at what you're saying. Why are you saying, your esteemed self? It's too formal for our relationship. Yi Wanwan, isn't there something wrong with your freaking point? Am I talking about honorifics? I'm saying you're the one digging pits. Why did you call me here? Yi Wanwan glanced at Nameless Nya. Nameless Nya rubbed his hands and giggled. Boss Famous say, the mercenary mission is finished. So about the remaining balance. So Nameless Nya called me here to ask for money, huh? Yi Wanwan looked at him incredulously. Who gave him the guts to shamelessly ask me for money? Nameless Nya, how could you be so shameless? Yi Wanwan laughed in outrage. Boss Famous, what is it? Nameless Nya looked innocent. How do you have the face to ask me for money? Yi Wanwan wanted nothing more than to kill Nameless Nya with a slap. You accepted my mission but also accepted the Yuan family's mission. You were rather clever, eating from both sides. As if that wasn't enough, they freaking caused me to be poisoned by dead man's love goo. Then just dusted off their asses and left. Now my love goo still isn't cured, so what do you say? How will you compensate me? Nameless Nya blinked. Love goo? Isn't it mutually in love goo? You can randomly find someone you like to cure this kind of goo, Boss Famous. It's super easy. Yi Wanwan took a deep breath and lashed at him without holding back. How would I know? I'd have to ask you. The doctor said that thing evolved in my body. Nameless Nya glanced outside the window and suddenly chuckled. Sister Famous Yi, look, there's a breeze and the sun is shining. The weather is quite nice today. Yi Wanwan reflexively glanced outside before snorting. It's nighttime right now. Boss Famous, look at how round the moon is. Nameless Nya amended hastily. I don't know if it's round, but it does look as big as your face, Yi Wanwan said. Ha ha ha, Sister Famous Yi, I still have something to do. I gotta leave now. Nameless Nya made to stand up and leave. Don't leave yet. Yi Wanwan grasped his shoulder. I still haven't paid you. Nameless Nya shook his head frantically. Sister Famous Yi, what are you saying? You're simply humiliating me right now. What relationship do we have? We're sworn brothers and best friends who walk through life hand in hand. Aren't you slapping my face by paying me to hire a few mercenaries from me? You absolutely can't. Yi Wanwan was bewildered. He was seriously the king of acting himself. Why didn't she discover Nameless Nya's talents back in China? If she knew, it would have been a breeze to help him obtain a best actor. Also sworn brothers? When did she become sworn brothers with him? So what should we do about my goo poison? Yi Wanwan glanced at Nameless Nya. Haha. Sister Famous Yi, you're truly too impressive. This is my first time hearing about someone being poisoned by mutually in love goo. Who caused that goo to turn into love goo? But don't worry, it's no big deal. It's just love goo. With your looks, Boss Famous, it'd be easy peasy for you to find someone to love and be loved in return. This goo won't kill you, Nameless Nya explained. Chapter 1493. 1493 Yi Wanwan snorted. That's easy for Nameless Nya to say since he's not the one poisoned. Sister Famous, don't worry. The love goo might be the king of goo, but its purpose is to make people live more blissfully, not to take away its carriers' lives. What's there to be afraid about with this kind of goo? Ah. I also want to find someone to be poisoned by love goo with, but there aren't any suitable candidates unfortunately. Also, Sister Famous, did you know? It's very challenging to nurture love goo. The amount of manpower, materials, and money exhausted isn't something you can imagine. There used to be countless people who were willing to spend all their wealth to purchase love goo, but they weren't able to obtain it. The love goo's price is unimaginably high. Nameless Nya said while earnestly looking at Yuanwan. Yuanwan trembled angrily when she heard him, her lips twitching slightly. Freaking. She was poisoned by love goo, but Nameless Nya was depicting it like she'd obtained some awesome bounty. Sister Famous, you're the only one. If it was anyone else who got dead man's love goo, we wouldn't let them leave unless they paid us millions of dollars. But considering our relationship, it's too vulgar to mention money. Right, Sister Famous? Nameless Nya grinned at her. Right your ass. After personally encountering Nameless Nya's thick skin, Yuanwan lacked the desire to keep talking to him. Nameless Nya saw Yuanwan's expression and nodded with satisfaction. That's right, Sister Famous. Being poisoned by love goo itself is a matter worthy of great celebration and joy. Oh, you should come to my house in 2 days. The little devil rather misses you. Yuanwan finally livened up at the mention of Tang Tang. How is Tang Tang doing lately? Yuanwan asked him. I don't know. I'm not home often. I'm a boss myself, and you know how a lot of business means a lot of social functions. It's the life of a man. Nothing to be done. Nameless Nya sent Yuanwan a you get me look. I'm free in the next few days so I can visit Tang Tang. Yuanwan said to Nameless Nya after a moment of thought. Yuanwan truly did miss Tang Tang. She'd be content if she could see Tang Tang again. Sure, I'll come pick you up in a few days. Nameless Nya nodded eagerly. Can you bring Tang Tang outside? Yuanwan probed. She didn't know the current situation with the Nya family, so she didn't want to go to the Nya residence. Especially since Madame Nya and Tang Tang's mother didn't seem to be very welcoming of her. Nya Linglong from the Nya family as well. If she visited the Nya residence, she'd probably be asking for ridicule, and might not even see Tang Tang. Hence, it'd be great if Nameless Nya could take Tang Tang outside. However, Nameless Nya shook his head with a baffled expression. Sister Famous, why do you want me to take Tang Tang outside? Can't you just come home with me? I'll tell Spray of Flowers and Deadman to come over as well, and we can all share a meal together. You can also get to know the family. With our relationship, it goes without saying that you can consider the Nya home as your own home. You can come visit Tang Tang whenever you want. It's no problem at all. Yuanwan. Chapter 1494. Now he was saying they had a good relationship. Who was it who hounded her for every cent possible when she asked him for help? All right. Yuanwan agreed in the end. No matter what, being able to see Tang Tang was good. After chatting a little longer with Nameless Nya, Yuanwan left. The next morning, Yuanwan arrived early to the office to take care of some confidential matters concerning the Fearless Alliance. These past few days, Autumn Water had been searching for a remedy for the goo, and Big Dipper and Seven Star had also been running around like ants on a hot pan. On the other hand, Yuanwan acted unperturbed without a trace of worry, like nothing happened. It wasn't time yet. As for the Fearless Alliance, Yuanwan could clearly feel that control over the alliance had ended up in her hands completely. Previously, Yuanwan could only sit in the office and deal with the daily trivial matters of the Fearless Alliance, but now, she started coming into contact with the core of the alliance. Regardless of whether her decisions were reasonable or unreasonable, there wasn't a single voice of dissent in the Fearless Alliance. They all did as she said, and flattering calls of "the president is brilliant" rang every which way. Yuanwan was overcome by emotion. The current Fearless Alliance was no longer the old Fearless Alliance. It had changed. She strongly believed that the true cause of her ability to grasp control of the alliance and the lack of suspicion and subsequent wholehearted obedience from First Elder and Third Elder was related to her previous drunken episode. Otherwise, these changes couldn't be explained. She was immensely curious, but she couldn't ask other people what she did while drunk. If she asked, wouldn't it be equivalent to exposing herself? Sisphone. Yi-Wan was trying her best to recall the events after she got drunk when Big Dipper opened the doors and swaggered into the office. When will you finally change your bad habit of being so unnecessarily rowdy? Yi-Wan jolted from Big Dipper's shrill scream, all her thoughts disrupted. Sis Feng, did you know? Scarlet Flames Academy and Stars and Sun Academy are fighting again. Near our fearless alliance too. It was like Big Dipper didn't hear what Yi-Wan said at all, and was completely absorbed in his own world. Scarlet Flames Academy, and Stars and Sun Academy? Yi-Wan was taken aback. Yi-Wan naturally knew about these two mercenary academies. There were countless mercenary academies in the independent state, but the three most renowned mercenary academies were called the Three Great Mercenary Academies. And Scarlet Flames Academy and Stars and Sun Academy just happened to be two of the three great mercenary academies. These two academies had been known for being on bad terms. Aside from the higher-ups of each academy, its students frequently broke out in conflict. The most tragic and ferocious clash supposedly happened because the students of the two academies were battling over an S-level mission. The nearby students all rushed over, and it erupted into a battle between the students of the two great mercenary academies that ended up with dozens of people dead and injured. Later, it progressed to a battle between the two academies. Yi-Wan had a basic grasp of the current situation in the independent state, so she knew the history of the three great mercenary academies. What happened? Yi-Wan asked Big Dipper. How did the students of the Scarlet Flames Academy and Stars and Sun Academy get into a fight in the Fearless Alliance's territory? Chapter 1495. Big Dipper walked toward Yi-Wan immediately and said, I heard it was because several students of the Scarlet Flames Academy wanted to give a birthday gift to their headmaster, and happened to run into students from the Stars and Sun Academy. Scarlet Flames and Stars and Sun were mortal enemies to begin with, so their students started fighting too. Big Dipper continued, Sis Feng, Scarlet Flames Academy's headmaster is super amazing. They say his capability of deep hypnosis is unrivaled in the independent state. His hypnotism can cause people to fall asleep instantly and unearth normal people's inner fears and potentials. He's a legend of his generation. As for the headmaster of the Stars and Sun Academy, his name also spreads far and wide. Yi-Wan chose to ignore Big Dipper's prattling. However, what Big Dipper said about the headmaster of the Scarlet Flames Academy did stir Yi-Wan's thoughts. Deep hypnotism. If it could unearth people's fears and potential. What about lost memories? If the headmaster of the Scarlet Flames Academy was truly this talented, could she have him help her? If she could retrieve all her lost memories. Yi-Wan recalled the memory fragments that suddenly flashed through her mind that day at the G residence. Perhaps she would be able to discover traces of her background if she started from the Scarlet Flames Academy. Sis Feng, the students of Scarlet Flames Academy and Stars and Sun Academy are still fighting. The elders have gone over already. Do you also want to take a look? If these students die in our territory, it'd be a bit troublesome, Big Dipper said. Yi-Wan's eyes shifted, and she stood up immediately. Let's go and see. In an empty space near the Fearless Alliance's headquarters, about 10 to 20 men and women were in a chaotic mess of battles, swords, sabers and other weapons flying everywhere. Stop! First Elder got a migraine while watching these students from the two great academies. They could fight anywhere, so why did they just have to fight in the Fearless Alliance's territory? If there were any deaths on either side, Scarlet Flames and Stars and Sun would probably demand an explanation from them again. We told you to stop. Are you all deaf? First Elder shouted coldly when he saw that he was ignored, his brows locking together. However, First Elder's words were akin to air. No one paid him any heed. Eventually, First Elder ordered the Fearless Alliance members next to him. Separate them. The members obeyed immediately and dashed forward. But before they could do anything, they were knocked onto the ground by the students. First Elder originally only wanted to try to stop the fight, but when he saw these two groups were unappreciative of his gesture, he merely snorted and didn't say anything else. They could all die for all he cared. It'd be even better if they all died. About 15 minutes later, the students of Scarlet Flames Academy were all lying on the ground. Several young men and women from the Stars and Sun Academy walked forward and stepped onto them, wanting to eliminate them at the roots. Third Elder's expression shifted upon seeing that, and he darkly ordered, "Stop." The students from Stars and Sun Academy turned around upon hearing that, and swept their eyes over Li Si and the others. The female leader of the Stars and Sun Academy group snorted and stared at Li Si. "I was wondering who it was. It turns out it's the infamous Fearless Alliance. Why did the Fearless Alliance come running here to stick your nose into other people's business instead of committing murder and arson? What? Did the Fearless Alliance change careers?" Chapter 1496. 1496. Hahaha, senior sister. They're the Fearless Alliance after all. They didn't even fear the 4 great clans when they were at their peak, so shouldn't us mercenary students give them some face? The female leader's lips turned up and she snorted. Something like face isn't meant for giving. It's meant for being thrown and stomped beneath people's feet. Am I right, people from the Fearless Alliance? The Fearless Alliance higher-ups' expressions all shifted. If these punks didn't have Stars and Sun Academy backing them up, they'd be dead by now for daring to humiliate the Fearless Alliance like this. However, the Fearless Alliance had to give some face to the 3 great mercenary academies. Moreover, this conflict didn't have anything to do with the Fearless Alliance. They merely didn't want anyone to die on their territory. Hurry and release them. You can fight if you want. Just don't fight on the Fearless Alliance's territory. A Fearless Alliance higher-up made an impatient shooing motion with his hand. Oh. Since when did your Fearless Alliance have the face to tell us where to fight? Hahaha, isn't the Fearless Alliance too good at pasting gold onto their faces? The female leader looked derisive. Don't waste your words with them. Bring the students from Scarlet Flames over here. First Elder ordered coldly. Yes. Several Fearless Alliance members strode forward and made to grab the students from Scarlet Flames Academy. I think you want to die. A cold glint flashed through the female leader's eyes, and she instantly attacked the Fearless Alliance members. When the Fearless Alliance members saw this, they could only defend themselves but didn't dare to retaliate. The consequences would be inconceivable if they injured or killed the students from Stars and Sun Academy. Forced to stay on the defense, the Fearless Alliance members were sent flying back within moments. Don't go too far. A Fearless Alliance member shouted darkly. Oh. The female leader of Stars and Sun Academy grinned. Do you really consider yourself important? In our eyes, the Fearless Alliance is nothing. Oh right, some major factions recently posted a mission for assassinating the president of the Fearless Alliance. Why don't we accept this mission when we return and take away your president's doghead? Before the Fearless Alliance higher-up could retort, a peal of bone-chilling laughter was heard from behind them. Sure. Why don't you take my head back now? Wouldn't that be more convenient? Yi Wanwan led Big Dipper, 7-star, and a countless number of Fearless Alliance members to the clearing. Who are you? How dare you speak to me like this? The female leader of Stars and Sun Academy derisively stared at Yi Wanwan. President, Third Elder, First Elder, and the other Fearless Alliance higher-ups all bowed at Yi Wanwan upon seeing her. Yi Wanwan nodded in response. She's the president of the Fearless Alliance. The students from Stars and Sun Academy were surprised. Rumors claimed the president of the Fearless Alliance wasn't that old. But no one expected her to be so young. What a joke. So what if you're President Fearless? You're nothing to me. The female leader of Stars and Sun snorted. Yi Wanwan's lips turned up with a wicked smile. In truth, the life and death of the students from the 2 great mercenary academies had nothing to do with her, but Chapter 1497. However, she did want to get acquainted with the headmaster of Scarlet Flames Academy and see if he could use his unique deep hypnosis to help her retrieve her memories. Hence, Yi Wanwan had to make her presence known and help the students from the Scarlet Flames Academy. Otherwise, why should their headmaster help her? I'll give you 2 paths. Get lost or die, Yi Wanwan said to the students from Stars and Sun Academy with a light chuckle. The female leader of Stars and Sun Academy derisively looked at Yi Wanwan. President Fearless, who do you think you are? I don't believe you'd touch a single hair on Stars and Sun's students. Slap her mouth. Yuanwan ordered aloofly. Yes, 7-Star answered and strode toward the female leader of Stars and Sun Academy. You're dead. The female leader of Stars and Sun Academy instantly swung her hand, striking 7-Star. However, 7-Star merely lifted his right arm and shook off the woman's hand. Before she could react, he ruthlessly slapped her mouth. Everyone heard a crisp slap and the woman staggered back. 7-Star glanced at the woman and turned to leave without looking back. You. The woman glared at Yuanwan furiously, wishing nothing more than to skin her alive. Kill them. Yuanwan gestured at the members of the Fearless Alliance behind her with her right arm. The students of Stars and Sun Academy's expressions all shifted. President Fearless didn't look like she was bluffing to intimidating them at all. Senior sister, let's hurry and leave. The president of the Fearless Alliance is a lunatic. If we don't leave now, we might really die here. A student from Stars and Sun Academy urged the woman. The female leader's expression also changed when she saw so many Fearless Alliance members advancing toward her. She originally thought the Fearless Alliance wouldn't dare to attack them, but it now looked like the president of the Fearless Alliance didn't have any scruples about it. Withdraw. The woman commanded almost instantly and led the Stars and Sun students away. Chase them. Kill them. Big Dipper made to chase after them with the other members. Yuanwan grabbed him by his shoulder. Sisfeng, what is it? Big Dipper turned to Yuanwan in confusion. Didn't Sisfeng say to kill them? Haven't you heard of the saying, don't chase your cornered enemies? Yuanwan asked. Oh. Big Dipper nodded. Fine, we won't chase them then. Yuanwan turned to Third Elder. Li Si, send those students of the Scarlet Flames Academy back. Li Si was startled and reflexively asked. Send them back where, President? Back to Scarlet Flames Academy, Yuanwan replied. Bring more people to avoid those students from Stars and Sun Academy coming out again to seek trouble. Li Si was baffled. Saving them was nice enough already, but the president wanted to escort them back? Is that a problem? Yuanwan asked. No. This subordinate will do that now. Li Si waved his hand and had some Fearless Alliance members carry several injured Scarlet Flame students. Since that was the president's order, he naturally wouldn't keep questioning it. He just had to do as she said. After resolving that matter, Yuanwan returned to her office. The memories of Scarlet Flame's Academy that flashed through her head that day at the G residence was too blurry, so she didn't obtain any useful clues, but they were very realistic. It appeared she could start with the Scarlet Flames Academy. Chapter 1498. Autumn Water returned the next evening. Autumn Water, you're back. Yuanwan looked at Autumn Water, who entered after knocking, with a smile. Autumn Water hastily walked forward and grasped Yuanwan's hand while carefully examining her. Xiaofeng, are you alright? How's your body? Yuanwan shrugged. There aren't any problems, it's pretty good. Autumn Water sighed with relief. Thankfully, you should be safe for 3 months. Xiaofeng, don't worry. The independent state is so large, and there are so many capable people with special talents here. We'll definitely find a solution with the Fearless Alliance's power. Emperor Ji is also helping. Moreover, we aren't the only ones worried. There's still Azura. They won't allow Lord Azura to die. Autumn Water said. Yuanwan smiled. I know, Autumn Water. Don't worry, I won't die so easily. Autumn Water nodded with a concerned expression, and reminded Yuanwan. Oh right, Xiaofeng. Even though you were forced by the circumstances after being poisoned by Gu last time, to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings, you should make a gesture on Emperor Ji's side. Don't cause any bad blood with him. Forced by the circumstances? Although Yuanwan didn't feel like she was forced at all back then, Autumn Water was right. She did need to explain herself to Emperor Ji. Hence she nodded and said, Okay, I know. I'll go pacify him. Good. Autumn Water was confident in Baifeng's pacifying skills, so she relaxed. Not long after Autumn Water left, 7-Star and Big Dipper came to discuss some business with her. After their discussion ended, Yuanwan stopped them from leaving. Yuan lifted her hand. Hey, hold on. Big Dipper and Seven Star stopped in their tracks and Big Dipper's head turned back. Sis Feng, is there anything else? Yuan twirled the fountain pen in her hand and looked pensive for a moment before instructing. Big Dipper, help me order a bouquet of flowers. It's almost time for me to start my plan. Big Dipper scratched his head, bewildered. Order flowers? Yes. I want how about roses? Yuan said decisively. Ha. SS Feng. Why do you want to buy roses? Since when did you like these showy things? Big Dipper asked with confusion. Yuan's lips turned up, and she nonchalantly. It's not me who likes them. Things like roses are naturally meant as gifts for other people. Big Dipper was shocked. Gifts? Who do you want to give it to, Sis Feng? His eyes suddenly brightened. Shit. Sis Feng, I know. You can't be giving them to Lord Azura, right? Sis Feng, you're finally preparing to make a move. Yuan glanced at him dryly. No. Big Dipper was startled before misery flooded his face. What wild man did you take a liking to again, Sis Feng? Who are you giving them to if not Lord Azura? Seven Star also sent her a suspicious gaze. Yuan glanced at them and aloofly answered, Jishiran. Big Dipper. Seven Star. Big Dipper was flabbergasted for half a day before finally regaining his senses. He wanted to cry. Shit. Emperor Ji? Sis Feng, kill me. I'm begging you. There are so many people in the independent state. Why can't you find an easier person to pursue? Yuan gave him side eye. When have you ever seen me do anything easy? Chapter 1499. Yuan continued. Stop dawdling around. Do as I say. Oh right, I want white roses. White roses should suit Jishiran rather well. Big Dipper was on the brink of a breakdown. Is that the main point, Sis Feng? Are you listening to me? Also, why are you planning on giving roses to a man? He'll think it's humiliating, okay? Isn't it enough that you just pissed off Lord Azura? If you piss off Emperor Ji too, our fearless alliance is going to be destroyed to smithereens. Also, your life is still in Lord Azura's hands. Can't you save your life first? Even if want to pursue someone, you should be pursuing Lord Azura. Yuan raised her brows. You think Lord Azura will fall in love with me? He won't. Big Dipper shook his head without any hesitation. Yuan's lips twitched at Big Dipper's resolute answer. Since I'm going to die anyway, does it matter who I give flowers to? Big Dipper was about to cry. Sis Feng, what kind of twisted logic is that? Yuan waved her hand impatiently and said, Enough already. 999 white roses, alright? You can't be short a single one, and I want the freshest and prettiest. Sis Feng, can I turn this down? Big Dipper protested feebly. Yuan didn't say anything and merely glanced at him cheerfully. A shiver went down Big Dipper's back as he remembered his president bloodily trouncing Ling Hua. He miserably changed his direction. Bye. I'll go and buy them now, alright? Seven Star stood in his spot and glanced at Yuan with a complicated look. Upon seeing Seven Star holding back from talking, Yuan said, What? What do you want to say? Seven Star said, Nothing. You naturally have your own reasons for doing this, Sis Feng. Yuan nodded with satisfaction. It's still Seven Star who knows me best. Emperor Ji helped me this time, so I'm merely giving him a bouquet of flowers to express my thanks. Is that a problem? Big Dipper listened to Yuan's earnest explanation and grumbled. Fabricate. Keep fabricating. Big Dipper had no choice. He didn't dare to disobey Yuan's orders, so he quickly went to the flower shop and bought 999 white roses as Yuan requested, not daring to miss a single one. After ordering the flowers, Big Dipper dismally brought it back to Yuan with a miserable expression for her to check them. Sis Feng, the flowers are ready. Inspect them. Yuan looked at the roses and nodded. All right, drive my car here and put all the flowers in the trunk. Okay. Big Dipper drove by Feng's limited edition bright red Ferrari sports car over. Then he and Seven Star carefully placed all the roses into the trunk. Yuan nodded with satisfaction. Done. Let's go. Big Dipper glanced at the trunk of roses and the auspicious bright red Ferrari, horror evident on his face. Sis Feng, you aren't planning to give it to Emperor Ji like this, right? Yuanwan. What? You have a problem with that? Sis Feng. You're crazy. Even if you want to give them, you should at least give them secretly. Isn't this too freaking ostentatious? Aren't you going to make it known to everyone and embarrass Emperor Ji in public? Emperor Ji might look friendly, but he absolutely isn't a saint. By giving him, a man, a bunch of roses, what's the difference between this and provocation? Big Dipper said, frightened. Ostentatious. Make it known to everyone. Yuanwan murmured. That was exactly what she wanted. Ostentatious. She wanted everyone to be aware. What she was afraid of was a certain someone remaining in the dark. Chapter 1500. In the end, Yuanwan directly drove to the location of Emperor Ji's faction. Big Dipper and Seven Star were worried, so they followed her. The whole drive there, Big Dipper tried his best to persuade Yuanwan, but she remained unperturbed and unmoved. As they spoke, the bright red Ferrari drifted and arrived in front of an ancient European-style building. Through the window, they could see a group of people walking out of the building. The leading man with his elegant and graceful aura and gentle bearing was Emperor Ji. Walking behind Emperor Ji were a few higher-ups from Emperor Ji's faction and several leaders from other organizations, all influential figures in the independent state. They probably just happened to be discussing some business together today. Emperor Ji, will you grace me with your presence and share a meal with me? I've already booked the hotel. Several powerful figures extended invitations simultaneously. Inside the car, Big Dipper wanted to cry when he saw how many people there were. There were so many respectable and prestigious figures there. If Sis Feng really did carry out her plan in front of everyone, he didn't want to imagine the scene. What thanks? Sis Feng, you aren't giving your thanks. You know that trying to hide it just makes it more conspicuous, right? You're trying to cover your ears while stealing a bell. You should know Sima Zhao's trick is obvious to every man on the street. Yuanwan rubbed Big Dipper's dog head and opened the door to leave. On the other hand, Ji Xiran was about to respond when his eyes caught something nearby. The people around him all automatically followed his gaze. Everyone watched as a bright red Ferrari stopped in front of the entrance with a screech. A moment later, the door opened, and a handsome and lively girl wearing black tight-fitting clothes with her hair in a ponytail exited the car, causing the viewer's eyes to brighten. Who is that girl? A leader murmured. Yuanwan had been doing things pretty high-profile lately, so someone soon recognized her. A shocked exclamation was heard from the crowd. Bai Feng. Isn't that Bai Feng? Bai Feng? That Bai Feng? How many Bai Fengs are there in the independent state? Of course it's the president of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flat Top. What? Bro Flat Top? Everyone's expressions shifted when they heard the words Fearless Alliance and Bro Flat Top. The Fearless Alliance was truly worthy of being the most notorious faction. Their name was truly deafening. Are you mistaken? Bro Flat Top is actually a delicate girl like this? Someone asked with disbelief. Another person asked, delicate? Are you kidding me? Earlier, Ling Hua from the Ironhead gang arrived on their doorstep to pick a fight with them, and he ended up being pummeled by Bro Flat Top single-handedly. Everyone was horrified when they heard this, and many people subconsciously retreated. Ling Hua was a ruthless character in the independent state. He was destroyed and replaced by the Fearless Alliance back then. To their surprise, he made a comeback several years later, only to be pummeled and beaten black and blue once again. After their president disappeared, the Fearless Alliance wasn't as powerful as before, but it appeared they were about to make a resurgence. Why did Bro Flat Top come today? She can't be seeking trouble again, right? The Fearless Alliance is utterly egotistical. This is Emperor Ji's territory. How dare they act so insolently? Ahem, they're the Fearless Alliance. What don't they dare to do? Didn't they eliminate several of Emperor Ji's branches a few years ago? We should snuff out such malignant tumors in the independent state. That's right. Although everyone was screaming for blood, no one dared to step forward. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.